You know, it's wild to me when you really stop and look at how we live today. Like, we are in this era where we spend billions, I mean, literally billions of dollars on productivity hacks.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And on meditation apps and like those wearable rings that track your sleep stages.
Like the biohacking stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We have all this technology and therapy and life coaching, and it's all entirely dedicated to helping us find just a little bit of peace.
Just a baseline of peace, yeah.
Right. And yet, if you look at the statistics, we're more anxious and more overwhelmed than literally any generation in human history.
It's a huge paradox.
It really is. It's like we're desperately trying to hack our way into happiness, and the harder we try, the more elusive it gets.
Oh, it's the great paradox of the modern world, right?
Yeah.
Because we have effectively outsourced our internal well-being to external tools.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, there is this underlying assumption that if we just optimize our environment enough, like if we get the lighting right in the office.
Right, or the perfect morning routine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If the morning routine is perfectly dialed in, then the anxiety will just naturally dissipate.
But it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because the underlying machinery, the human mind itself, remains completely untrained.
Wow.
We are essentially trying to build a really advanced smart house on a foundation of quicksand.
Building a smart house on quicksand. That is it. That is the perfect way to frame it.
Yeah.
And that foundational quicksand is exactly what we're digging into today.
Mm-hmm.
For this deep dive, we are exploring a text that honestly, it feels like it could have been written yesterday to address this exact modern crisis.
It really does.
We're looking at the Dhammapada, and I think when people hear the phrase ancient scripture, they immediately brace themselves for something, dusty.
Right, like a relic.
Yeah, or just something highly metaphysical and completely detached from reality.
Which is a tragic misconception, really.
Yeah.
Because the Dhammapada is none of those things.
Okay.
It is an anthology of ancient verses, yes.
Yeah.
But it functions as an urgent and incredibly precise psychological guide.
Like a manual.
Exactly. It's a relentless, practical manual for the systematic training of human consciousness.
Oh.
If you strip away the historical distance, what you're left with is a map of the inward journey that really rivals and, frankly, often surpasses modern cognitive behavioral therapy.
That's a huge claim. Surpasses CBT.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't ask you to believe in a complex cosmology.
Oh, yeah.
It just asks you to observe the immediate mechanics of your own mind.
Which is so refreshing. And before we get too deep into those mechanics, I just want to explicitly note for everyone listening that this deep dive is part of an ongoing, totally free educational audio series.
Right.
We are breaking down Indic heritage and ancient wisdom for the modern world. So let's start right there at those foundational mechanics.
Let's do it.
Because the very opening of the text, it hits you with a premise that is almost entirely antithetical to how we operate today.
It really pulls no punches right at the start.
It doesn't. It opens with the idea that the mind precedes all mental states, that the mind is the leader, and all of our experiences are made by the mind.
Made by mind, yeah.
Now, coming at this from a Western perspective, I kind of have to play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
When people hear your mind makes your reality, it can very easily sound like that early 2000s, the secret phenomenon.
Oh, right, the manifestation trend.
Yeah, exactly. Like toxic positivity, the idea that if you just think good thoughts and visualize a sports car, the universe just hands it to you.
Right, and all your problems vanish.
Right. So does this text imply that we just need to smile more and our suffering disappears?
No, not at all. That is a crucial distinction to make right out of the gate.
Okay, good.
This philosophy has absolutely nothing to do with magical thinking. And it certainly isn't endorsing toxic positivity.
So what is it saying then?
It's talking about radical responsibility and the inescapable law of cause and effect, which is the true, unadulterated definition of karma.
Right, not the pop culture version of karma.
Exactly. The text offers a very specific mechanical explanation. It states that if you speak or act with an impure mind, meaning a mind clouded by greed or anger or delusion,
Okay.
suffering follows you just as the heavy wheel of a cart follows the hoof of the ox pulling it.
Oh, man. The wheel of a heavy wooden cart grinding into the dirt right in the tracks of the ox.
It's a very heavy image.
It is. Let's look at that imagery for a second, because it's not just poetic. It describes a physical burden.
Yes.
An ox pulling a cart isn't free. The wheel is inevitable. Wherever the ox steps that wheel is going to crush the dirt right behind it.
Exactly. It's a linked system.
Right. So it implies that our suffering isn't some random punishment from the universe. It is the direct mechanical consequence of the intentions we are dragging around.
The intention is the ox and the suffering is the wheel.
Wow.
If we connect this to modern psychology, particularly neuroplasticity, it aligns perfectly.
How so?
Well, you know the phrase, neurons that fire together wire together?
Yeah.
When your foundational intention is rooted in anger or selfishness, you are literally carving a rut in your neural pathways.
Oh, I see. So you're making it easier to be angry next time.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But the text then provides the necessary contrast.
Okay.
It says, if you speak or act with a pure mind, happiness follows you like an inseparable shadow.
Oh, shadow.
Right. A shadow requires no effort to maintain. It simply exists as a natural consequence of standing in the light.
So it's about the cognitive framing that precedes the action. It's almost like psychological physics.
Psychological physics is a great way to put it, yeah.
But taking that a step further, applying that physics is incredibly daunting.
Oh, it's the hardest thing in the world.
Because if the mind is the architect of our reality, how do we actually stop it from building a prison for us?
Right.
Like, let's be real. When I feel wrong, my mind doesn't want to be pure.
Of course not.
If someone cuts me off in traffic or, a coworker throws me under the bus or I read something infuriating on the internet, my mind wants to go to war.
It demands retaliation.
It demands it, yeah.
Well, the text anticipates that exact, deeply ingrained human reaction. It addresses the cycle of hatred immediately.
What does it say?
It describes the fickle, agitated mind obsessing over grievances. It points out how people fixate on thoughts like, he insulted me, he struck me, he defeated me, he robbed me.
Oh, wow.
And the observation here is that in those who harbor such thoughts, hatred never ceases.
Because you're keeping it alive.
Exactly. You are essentially keeping the wound open and actively pouring salt into it. The mind gets trapped in a feedback loop of its own making.
And what's wild is that this feedback loop is literally the business model of the modern internet.
Oh, absolutely. The outrage economy.
Yes, outrage culture, cancel culture, doom scrolling. We have built entire algorithmic empires designed to make us repeat, he insulted me, he struck me, he robbed me.
Right. We are economically incentivized to hold on to the grievance.
We really are. The longer we stay mad, the longer we stay engaged on the app. But breaking that loop requires a mechanism. Because just telling someone, hey, don't be mad, is completely useless when their heart is racing and their cortisol levels are spiking.
It is entirely useless to just command the mind to stop, which is why the text introduces what it considers an eternal law.
Okay, what's the law?
It says, hatred is never appeased by hatred in this world. By non-hatred alone is it appeased.
Wow.
It treats this not as a moral suggestion, but as a law as immutable as thermodynamics.
Right.
You cannot extinguish a fire by throwing more fire onto it.
But you're asking the practical question, how do we actually achieve this state of non-hatred when the mind is violently agitated?
Right. Because in that moment of anger, my mind feels completely out of my control.
It does. It feels like a physical takeover.
Well, the text validates that experience with a brilliant visceral analogy. It says the untrained mind thrashes about like a fish pulled from its watery home and thrown onto dry ground.
Oh, man. That thrashing, suffocating, frantic energy.
Yes.
Anyone who has ever had a panic attack or an anxiety spiral knows exactly what that feels like.
They know it in their bones.
Yeah, it's this desperate flopping around in your own head looking for oxygen.
And because the mind is so naturally fickle, swift, hard to restrain, and prone to alighting wherever it desires, you cannot just passively wait for the fish to calm down.
Right, because it's dying.
Exactly. You have to actively train the mind.
Yeah.
And to explain how the scripture brings in the image of a fletcher.
Like arrow maker.
Right. It says that just as a fletcher straightens an arrow shaft, the wise person straightens the flickering, fickle mind.
Let's unpack that Fletcher analogy, because an arrow maker doesn't just stare at a crooked piece of wood and ask it nicely to be straight.
No, it requires work.
Right. Straightening an arrow requires heat, it requires intense pressure, and it requires continuous micro-adjustments.
Very deliberate action.
Yeah, you have to work material against its natural bend.
That is the core mechanism right there.
Yeah.
You have to apply diligent, conscious effort.
Okay.
In modern terms, you have to catch yourself in the millisecond between the stimulus and the response.
So at that tiny window?
Yes. When the coworker throws you under the bus, the heat and pressure involve pausing, observing the spike in your heart rate, and consciously choosing not to send the retaliatory email.
Which is so hard.
It is uncomfortable. It feels unnatural at first, just like bending wood.
Right.
But this effort is what the text refers to as diligence, or appamada, which translates to heedfulness or vigilance.
So vigilance isn't about being paranoid, it's about being hyper-aware of your own internal mechanics.
Yes, it is about building a sanctuary. The text says that through energetic effort, heedfulness, self-control, and restraint, the wise person builds an island that no flood of delusion can overwhelm.
Building an island against a flood. Today, we are dealing with unprecedented floods. I mean, floods of information, floods of consumerism, floods of other people's opinions and neuroses pouring into our phones every second.
Constant deluge.
Exactly. And if you don't have that internal island constructed through vigilance, you just get swept out to sea with the rest of the timeline.
You really do.
You become a reaction to your environment rather than a conscious actor in it.
That's a great way to synthesize it.
But this brings up a really uncomfortable question.
Okay, what is it?
How do we know if we are actually building an island or if we are just entirely fooling ourselves?
The delusion of progress.
Yeah, because I don't know anyone who walks around thinking, hey, I'm a fool who makes terrible decisions.
Right. We all think we're the hero.
Exactly.
Well, the psychology of the fool is a major theme in this text, and it is famously blunt about it.
I love that.
It offers a wonderful, almost humorous litmus test. It says, a fool who recognizes their own folly is wise to that extent.
Oh, that's good.
But a fool who imagines themselves to be wise is truly called a fool.
That is brilliant. The moment you look around and think, I've got it all figured out, everyone else is the idiot. That is the exact moment the trap closes on you.
Right then and there.
Certainty and arrogance are the actual hallmarks of ignorance.
Furthermore, the text digs into why fools continue to do harmful things despite the eventual consequences.
Because they usually get away with it at first, right?
Exactly. It observes that a fool regards evil as sweet like honey as long as it has not ripened.
Oh, the quick dopamine hit.
Yes!
Like slapping someone down on Twitter feels really good in the moment. Taking the extra piece of the pie feels sweet.
It feels like a win.
Mm.
But the mechanism of karma, the cause and effect we discussed it, doesn't always provide immediate feedback.
Right, it's not instantaneous.
The text warns that an evil deed doesn't curdle instantly like freshly drawn milk. Instead, it pursues the fool like a smoldering fire concealed beneath ashes.
Wow.
Eventually, the wind blows and it burns them.
The smoldering fire under the ashes. Think about how many people build their lives on small lies or minor ethical compromises or quiet resentments.
So many.
They think they got away with it because the house didn't burn down immediately. But the heat is just building under the surface, causing chronic stress, ruining relationships in slow motion, waiting for a gust of wind to expose the whole thing.
It's an invisible rot.
So if that's the trajectory of the fool, how does the text describe the astute person, the one who has actually built the island?
The defining characteristic of the wise is their unshakability. The imagery used is that of a solid rock.
A solid rock.
Just as a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, the wise remain unmoved by praise or blame.
Man, that is incredibly difficult.
It is the ultimate test.
Because we live in a culture entirely driven by praise and blame. Likes, retweets, performance reviews, public shaming. Our entire self-worth is often tethered to external validation.
Which is why the untrained mind is the thrashing fish. It's constantly reacting to the environment.
Right.
But for the astute, who do not inflate when flattered or crumble when criticized, the text tells us their minds become as serene as a deep, unclouded lake.
A deep, unclouded lake versus a thrashing fish on dry land. It really presents a binary choice of how you want to experience your own consciousness.
It is a stark choice.
So if the goal is this unshakable mind, this deep lake, the immediate hurdle we run into is our physical form.
The body, yeah.
Because no matter how calm your mind is, your body gets sick, it ages, it breaks down.
It is inherently fragile.
Right, and we are a culture absolutely obsessed with our bodies. I mean, anti-aging, biohacking, skincare routines, billionaires trying to literally cure death.
Right, the pursuit of physical immortality.
Yeah, we treat our physical form like it's the ultimate monument to our existence. So how does this text reconcile this pursuit of peace with the reality of an aging body?
It dismantles our physical vanity entirely. And it does so with imagery that is almost shockingly visceral to a modern reader.
Okay, lay it on me.
It asks the seeker to behold the body as a painted puppet.
A painted puppet?
It describes it as a constructed heap of sores, diseased, full of restless desires having neither permanence nor stability.
That is brutal. but incredibly sobering.
It's designed to wake you up.
You read that, and suddenly spending 3 hours worrying about a wrinkle or perfecting a gym selfie feels completely absurd. It strips away the
It
illusion.
really does. It also refers to the body as a citadel built of bones, plastered over with flesh and blood, within which dwell old age, death, pride, and deceit.
Wow.
Now, the intention here isn't to promote self-hatred.
Okay, that's an important caveat.
Right. It's not about loathing yourself. It's about shattering the clinging. If you anchor your identity to something that is decaying by its very nature, you are guaranteeing your own suffering.
Because you're holding on to smoke.
Exactly. But recognizing this impermanence sets the stage for the true masterpiece of this section, which is the moment of existential realization.
The breakthrough.
Yes, the breakthrough.
Walk us through what that realization actually looks like in the text.
So the seeker has wandered through countless cycles of suffering, desperately searching for the architect of this misery.
Okay.
They're looking for the root cause of the anxiety, the aging, the endless dissatisfaction. And finally, in a moment of ultimate clarity, they spot the house builder.
When I first read that phrase, the house builder, my mind immediately went to the ego.
That's a common initial read.
Yeah, but looking closer at the context, it seems to be pointing at something deeper or maybe more mechanical than just the ego. It's pointing at the underlying mechanism of desire itself. Is the text saying that craving is literally constructing our reality?
That is the exact mechanism. The house builder is craving.
Craving.
It is the deep, insatiable, evolutionary thirst for more. More existence, more pleasure, more status, more security.
Just constantly needing more.
Yes. And the breakthrough happens when the seeker finally observes this mechanism objectively and declares to the house builder, "You are seen. You shall build no house again. All your rafters are shattered and the ridgepole is broken."
Oh, man.
The mind has realized the complete extinction of craving.
Oh, house builder, you are seen.
Yeah.
There is so much power in that recognition.
It's triumphant.
It is.
Yeah.
To translate that to a modern context, it's like that profound aha moment in therapy or during a moment of intense mindfulness where you suddenly realize that the voice in your head isn't actually you.
Exactly. It's just programming.
Right. The voice constantly whispering that you need this promotion to be worthy, that you need a bigger house to be happy, that you need to win the argument to exist. That voice is just the house builder doing its job.
Building the prison.
And it is building the very prison you are trapped inside. The moment you observe it objectively, the moment you realize it's just a mechanical craving, you shatter the rafters.
The structure of suffering collapses because the ridgepole of ignorance, the illusion that fulfilling the craving will finally bring lasting peace, is snapped.
You stop believing the house builder's lies.
Yes, you stop believing the lie that the next hit of dopamine will be the one that finally satisfies you. And this realization leads to what is arguably one of the most empowering yet demanding concepts in the entire philosophy.
Okay, what is it?
The text states oneself is one's own refuge and protector. What other protector could there be? With oneself thoroughly mastered and tamed, one finds a refuge that is exceedingly rare to attain.
Let's pause on that line for a second. Oneself is one's own refuge.
It's heavy.
That is an incredibly heavy responsibility to place on a person.
Yes.
It completely strips away the modern comfort of playing the victim.
No more scapegoats?
Right. You can't blame your parents. You can't blame society. You can't wait for a savior to drop out of the sky and fix your anxiety. You have to tame yourself.
It is stark, but it's also the ultimate form of liberation.
It is. And honestly, this is one of those concepts where modern translations often do a massive disservice to the reader.
What do you mean?
Well, you'll often see versions of this ancient wisdom heavily padded with like 10 pages of a modern author's personal commentary.
Oh, right, the interpretation.
Yeah, they try to soften the blow or they layer it with contemporary Western biases to make it fit a specific self-help narrative.
They dilute it.
Exactly. They take a profound concept like radical self-reliance and turn it into a fluffy chapter about treating yourself.
Like, totally missing the point.
That's why having access to the unadulterated direct text matters so much. When you read the pure words, you have to grapple with the actual weight of them.
The danger of heavy commentary is that it places a mediator between the seeker and the truth.
Yes, perfectly said.
What is profoundly valuable about the specific format of the source material we are referencing today is its commitment to transparency.
Right, the Indic Consciousness Project.
Yes. The project utilizes a tripartite structure. It presents the original Devanagari script, the exact iced-tea transliteration for pronunciation, and a clear, highly accurate English translation side by side.
So you aren't just taking someone's word for it. You can see the architecture of the language yourself.
Precisely. It strips away the academic jargon and the philosophical agendas of commentators. It allows the rhythm, the cadence, and the pure philosophical nuance of the ancient wisdom to speak directly to the reader's own intellect.
It trusts the reader to engage with the concepts organically.
It respects the reader's intelligence.
It respects the listener's intelligence completely. And this actually feels like a perfect moment for a gentle reminder to our audience. This deep dive and all of these audio breakdowns exploring Indic heritage are part of an ongoing educational series that is always going to be completely free to listen to.
Always free?
Our goal is just to get these ideas into the cultural bloodstream. But if you are listening to this and feeling that pull to take the next step to really sit with lines like oneself is one's own refuge without the noise of modern interpretation, you can check the Linktree link in the description to explore the full library of these scriptures.
It's highly recommended.
Yeah, or you can simply hop on Amazon and search for Indic consciousness books. It really is the absolute best way to bypass the academic gatekeepers and engage with the pure text on your own terms.
Sitting with the unfiltered text acts as a mirror for your own mind rather than just reading someone else's textbook on spirituality.
Exactly. It's an active practice, not passive consumption. Okay, let's carry this momentum forward because I want to look at how this philosophy tackles the concept of happiness.
The pursuit of happiness.
Yes, because the way it defines happiness directly confronts everything we are taught in the West.
It does. It really upends it.
There is a section that explicitly states, victory engenders enmity, the defeated dwell in misery. The peaceful person rests happily, having cast aside both victory and defeat.
It's a powerful verse.
I mean, I grew up in a culture where winning is everything. Catchalism, sports, corporate ladders, even social media arguments. Our entire societal structure is built on a zero-sum game of victory and defeat.
Well, the philosophy presented here is deeply countercultural to that zero-sum mindset.
Right.
Think about the mechanics of victory in a competitive society. Victory necessitates someone else's defeat.
Right. Someone has to lose for me to win.
Therefore, the victor is constantly looking over their shoulder, generating enmity, jealousy, and future conflict. They are paranoid about maintaining their spot at the top.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Exactly. And the defeated obviously are crushed by sorrow and resentment. Both positions, the winner and the loser, are states of extreme agitation.
They are both just different flavors of the thrashing fence.
Yes, they are still on the dry land. The text argues that true peace cannot be found anywhere on that spectrum.
Okay.
True peace is not achieved by climbing to the top of the pyramid and dominating everyone else. It is achieved by stepping off the pyramid entirely.
Wow, stepping off the pyramid.
The sage casts aside the very dichotomy of winning and losing, realizing that both are just temporary, exhausting fluctuations of the ego.
That requires such a radical shift in identity, especially if your whole life has been defined by your achievement.
It is the death of the ego in many ways.
But this brings me to a part of the text that I think is genuinely the hardest for modern people to digest.
I think I know where you're going with this.
It's the section dealing with affection and the concept of the beloved.
Chapter 16, yes.
The text explicitly states that from attachment, from affection, and from craving arise sorrow and fear. It says, for one who is entirely free from affection, there is no sorrow, whence could fear arise. Now, I am going to push back incredibly hard here because this sounds deeply problematic.
It is the point of greatest friction for most Western readers. What is your primary concern?
My concern is that it sounds like a recipe for becoming a cold, detached sociopath.
Right.
If I take this literally, it implies I shouldn't love my partner, I shouldn't love my kids, I should just sit on a mountain unfeeling so I don't have to experience the pain of loss. How is a life completely devoid of love a good life? What is the point of being a human if you are just an emotional void?
I am so glad you are challenging this, because this is perhaps the most heavily misunderstood concept in Eastern philosophy when viewed through a modern Western lens.
Okay, clarify it for me.
The text is absolutely not making a call for cold apathy, nihilism, or sociopathy.
Good, that's a relief.
To understand this, we have to look very closely at the mechanics of the words being translated. Attachment, clinging, and lustful passion. The text is making a critical surgical distinction between possessive love and pure compassion.
Okay, let's break down that mechanism. Because in modern English, we use the word love to cover everything from how I feel about my spouse to how I feel about pizza.
Right, a very blunt instrument of a word.
What is the functional difference between possessive love and pure compassion in this specific context?
Possessive love is entirely rooted in the ego. It operates on the premise of ownership and conditionality.
Like treating a person as property.
Yes. It says, you are mine. Your presence makes me feel secure. Your achievements reflect well on me.
Right.
If you leave me, or if you change, or if you die, my identity will be destroyed.
Oh, wow.
That kind of affection is inherently tangled with the fear of loss. It is a desperate grasping. And because everything in the universe is impermanent, which the text has already established, grasping onto anything impermanent guarantees sorrow.
So the suffering isn't caused by the other person. It's caused by my demand that they never change and never leave.
Precisely. What the text is advocating for is severing the clinging, not the connection.
Severing the clinging, not the connection.
If you can love your partner and your children with profound compassion, deep presence, and total appreciation, but without the desperate, ego-driven need to possess them or freeze them in time, you remove the fear.
Wow.
You love them as autonomous beings in freedom rather than as extensions of your own ego.
Oh, okay. That entirely shifts the paradigm.
It changes everything.
It's the difference between holding a bird. If I love a bird possessively, I hold it tightly in my fist so it can't fly away. But in the fist, there is constant tension. There's the fear of it escaping, and I might actually crush the thing I claim to love.
Exactly.
Pure compassion is holding your hand completely open and letting the bird rest on your palm. It might fly away, but while it is there is no fear. There is just appreciation for its presence.
That is a beautiful and highly accurate analogy. In the open hand, there is no sorrow and no fear.
It's a much healthier way to live.
And this ties perfectly into a haunting metaphor used later in the text when discussing the broader nature of craving.
Okay, what's the metaphor?
It observes those infatuated by lust fall into the stream of craving, just as a spider falls into the web woven by itself.
A spider falling into its own web? That is such a striking image.
It really is.
We literally spin the threads of our own attachments. We spin our desires for a massive career, our need for social validation, our possessive expectations in relationships. We secrete all of this from our own minds, weave this incredibly complex trap, and then we have the audacity to complain that we are stuck.
We build the web, and then we view ourselves as the innocent victim of the web.
Yes.
But the text doesn't just leave us trapped there to despair. It provides the actionable, albeit challenging antidote.
Okay, how do we get out of the web?
It says, let go of the past, let go of the future, let go of the present. Crossing over to the farther shore of existence with a mind liberated in every respect, you will never again return to birth and decay.
Letting go of the past, future, and present. It's the total surrender of the timeline.
Yes.
Mechanically, how does one let go of the present? I understand dropping past regrets and future anxieties, but how do you let go of now?
Letting go of the present doesn't mean ignoring what is happening. It means letting go of your clinging to what is happening.
Okay.
If you are experiencing a moment of joy, you experience it fully, but you don't try to lock it in a cage. You don't immediately start dreading its end.
Like trying to hold on to the weekend on a Sunday night.
Exactly. And conversely, if you are experiencing pain, you observe it without fusing your identity to it. You allow the present moment to arise and pass away naturally without trying to manipulate it.
So what does a person actually look like when they have achieved this? When they have straightened the arrow of their mind, seen the house builder, stepped off the pyramid of victory and defeat, and opened their fist to love without clinging.
This brings us to the culmination of the text, which describes the archetype of the true sage, referred to in this specific cultural context as the Brahmana.
The Brahmin, right?
Now, historically, this term often referred to a priestly caste based on birth and strict social hierarchy.
Oh.
But the text radically redefines and democratizes what it means to be a spiritual elite. It strips away the external markers entirely.
How does it define it?
It states clearly, not by matted hair, nor by lineage, nor by caste does one become a Brahmin. In whom there is truth and righteousness, that person is pure, and that person is truly a Brahmin.
So it's not about your aesthetics.
Not at all.
It's not about wearing the right yoga clothes or putting a Namaste bumper sticker on your car or bragging about which silent retreat you just came back from.
Right, the performance of spirituality.
True spiritual authority has zero correlation with your external performance. It is entirely about internal purity and cognitive mastery.
The external performance is often just another web spun by the house builder.
Right, it's just another ego trip.
The true sage operates differently. To explain how this sage interacts with the messy reality of the world, the text uses an image that perfectly encapsulates everything we've discussed today.
I love the imagery in this text. What is it?
It says like, water upon a lotus leaf, or a mustard seed on the sharp point of an awl, one who does not cling to sensual pleasures. That person I call a Brahmin.
Water on a lotus leaf. If you've ever seen it in nature, it's fascinating.
It really is.
The lotus leaf grows in the mud in the swamp, but because of its texture, the muddy water just beads up and rolls right off. It touches the leaf, it interacts with the leaf, but it doesn't soak in. It leaves no stain.
In modern psychological terms, this is the ultimate state of cognitive diffusion.
Right.
The sage is in the world. They are experiencing the commute, the difficult conversations, the physical pain of aging, but they aren't letting those experiences fuse with their identity.
The stress rolls off them.
Exactly. They observe the anger in the room, but they don't become the anger.
They have unyoked themselves from the heavy cart. They are no longer dragging that wheel behind them.
And I think the most profound way to encapsulate this entire journey from the heavy grinding wheel of suffering to the unshakable freedom of the sage is with a final striking image from the text.
Okay, what's the final image?
It describes those who have mastered their minds, who accumulate no worldly baggage, and who have realized true liberation. It says their path is as untraceable as the footprints of birds across the sky.
The footprints of birds across the sky.
Yes.
They leave no mark, they demand no monument, they carry no heavy wheel. You know, we started this deep dive talking about how much energy, time, and money we spend trying to optimize our lives.
Too much.
We are so obsessed with building our legacies, with making our mark, with leaving a massive ego-driven footprint on the earth. We are carrying so much unnecessary weight.
We really are.
So here is a question to sit with as you go about the rest of your week. What would your life look like today? What would your Tuesday morning look like if you stopped trying to leave a heavy footprint and instead aimed to be as light, unburdened, and free as a bird in the sky?
It's a profound shift in perspective.
It really is. And remember, we are going to keep bringing you these long-form, in-depth explorations of indica heritage continuously, entirely for free. But if you want to support your own personal spiritual study, if you want to sit with these pure translations and let them act as an unfiltered mirror for your own mind, hit the link tree in the show notes or look up Indic Consciousness on Amazon.
It's the best way to read it.
Absolutely. You don't need another expensive app to hack your anxiety. You just need to start straightening the arrow of your own mind. We will see you on the next deep dive.